the leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
All right, folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
Wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. A division of RCE is now the Spark Radio Network. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
Red State Talk Radio. Conservatism, Red State style.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? America Off the Rails has been declared a conservatives-only safe zone. Only conservatives allowed from this point forward. Any liberal, socialist, butthurt, hippie, tree huggers, please exit the facility immediately. Again, attention please. America Off the Rails is now designated as a conservative safe zone only. All butthurt, tree hugging, hippie, free to be you and me types exit the facility immediately. Thank you.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
Well, good morning, Red State Talk Radio. This is Rick Robinson. I'm the host of America Off the Rails, and it is Sunday morning, and forgive me, it's really early, so I do apologize if I sound a little bit discombobulated. Want to give a big shout-out to you guys. We haven't done a specific episode for you guys in a bit. Been sending you some replays from the other networks. Speaking of which, if you, by chance, caught Friday night show, this will kind of be a continuation of some of the topics that were discussed there, but we have more to pile on because I'm sorry, folks. I'm not letting off the gas pedal. I keep being ridiculed and picked on because I'm not being a good little Republican and stepping in line and going in lockstep with the front runner. I'm sorry. The dude is not a conservative. And for all of you anti-establishment hater folks, come on, he was just endorsed by Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin, for God's sake, who sounded completely stoned during the entire interview. If I can find it, because I have a clip of that somewhere, but I didn't actually pull it for this episode. I may see if I can find it when we go to commercial break and maybe talk about that for the last part of the show. But first, I want to talk about some things that have been going on in the news. So, because like I said, it's been a while since we have done a specific episode for you guys, so you've just been kind of getting a replay here and there. So I just want to, mention something that was brought up during the last debate cycle, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe Ted Cruz said that." And yes, I'm talking about the basically stating that the rest of the country wouldn't necessarily want to vote for Donald Trump based on the fact that he has New York values. Well, of course, he was completely lambasted about that comment and been drawn and quartered, practically tarred and feathered. But the funny thing is, within about 48 hours of him making that statement, there was an interesting news story that broke about New York City. They have the first, and as far as I know, the only booth where if you're a man and you're feeling a little bit stressed, you can walk into this booth over there on the corner, you can pull a little curtain, and you can relieve some stress by yanking on your crank.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Please pay no attention to that man behind the curtain, because he's probably doing things your mama warned you about. But come on, I mean, really? Now, this isn't just endemic of New York. I'm not just calling them out. I have friends from New York. One of our hosts is from New York. I understand that there are conservatives there. But if we really lost such control of ourselves that we have to put together a public booth where someone can go yank their pud? Is that really now what is endemic of America? Because I'm telling you, this election cycle indemnifies that. Because look at what's going on. This is the culmination of the gotta have it now, and it better only take 30 seconds lifestyle that this country has had for the last 30 years. I've had Dr. Arrington on the show before. For those of you who may not know, he does a show on Sundays over on the station that I'm general manager for, and it's run through the network that I own. It's called Office Hours with Dr. Arrington. Well, before he did the show, he actually came on my show a few times, and one of the things that he talked about was typically to make sociological changes within a group of people that usually takes about 2 generations. If you go back and you do the math, that's about as long as we've turned over control of a lot of things to the government, like education, all of these safety net programs that were originally supposed to be considered a hand up that have basically turned into a social spider web. All of this, we've got to listen to the government. This all started coming about based on those changes. And this election cycle is the culmination of everything that these people have been working toward, because you've got one group that is so angry they're willing to throw in with a guy who hasn't told them anything after making fun of the other group of people that did exactly the same thing 7 years ago. That's the point that I've been trying to make for forever. And I'm telling you, I'm getting flack from everybody for it. I do not care. I didn't start this show to win friends and influence people. I started this show because I feel like at this point, if we don't wake enough people up, we're going to lose it. And I don't just mean in small pockets. I mean this country is literally going to go away soon if we do not wake people up. There's a reason this show is titled America Off the Rails. I mean, come on. If I was trying to make myself famous, I could have just called it the Rick Robinson Show like all these other big talking heads do. I don't want the focus to be about me. The show isn't about me. This show is about the fact that our country is dying and we're watching it happen. And now we have this entire group of people that have put all of their hopes and their dreams and their plans for the future of this country on the back of a guy that couldn't give a care less what happens to them. And not only that, but has been lying to them. And I have points to illustrate this. Because here's the thing. We have all of these people that are, number one, convinced that Donald Trump is anti-establishment. We also have all of these people that are convinced that Donald Trump would never do things like socialized medicine. Well, I have news for you, folks. He plain out tells you that's exactly what he's going to do. And if you don't believe me, here's the clip.
Everybody's got to be covered. This is an un-Republican thing for me to say, because a lot of times they say, no, the lower 25%, they can't afford private. But
universal health care.
I am going to take care of everybody. I don't care if it costs me votes or not. Everybody's going to be taken care of much better than they're taken care of now.
The uninsured person is going to be taken care of.
They're going to be taken care of.
How?
I would make a deal with existing hospitals to take care of people. And you know what? This is probably...
Make a deal. Who pays for it?
The government's going to pay for it, but we're going to save so much money on the other side.
All right, now bear in mind, this is the same guy that, you know, actually I didn't play that clip here, but if you listened on Friday's show, there was a clip I played where he was on the Letterman show right before Dave actually stepped down, talking about, you know, the broken website and $5 billion and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But now he wants to turn complete and total control of the healthcare system over to the government. Look, I've said it before, and I will say it again. If you want to fix the healthcare system, you need to get the middlemen out of the way. I don't care if they're private party insurance companies or the government. There needs to be no middlemen, because where we have lost track of everything and lost control of everything is when we keep bringing all of these people into the middle of the equation because you stop paying attention to what you're actually paying for. I mean, come on. Would you walk into a restaurant, order food, sit down, eat it, and not ever know what you paid for till they brought you the bill? Because that's what you do when you go to a hospital or a doctor. You don't know what they're going to charge you. And the thing about it is, especially in the emergency medical field, you can go to hospitals within 5 miles of each other and they have distinctly and drastically different pricing models. Why is that? If we would just bring accountability back and standard business practices back, we could fix everything without Trump care, because this is the point nobody wants to listen to. He's told you time and time and time again, Obamacare is broken. But when I get a hold of it, and I'm going to tear it apart, and I'm going to put it back together, and we're going to make it the best thing ever, and it's going to be huge. So he's not talking about getting rid of it. He's talking about basically throwing a few Band-Aids on it and putting his name on it. Because whether anybody likes it or not, that was a big accomplishment for Obama. He did something that those of us on the right thought was never going to happen in this country. And that's why I'm completely terrified that within a few years of him doing that, we now have Bernie Sanders filling up stadiums with people that want to listen to his ideas and talk about how everything's going to be great and groovy because it's all going to be free. I'm telling you, we are about to lose everything. And the scary thing is, if you really look at Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, there really is not much of a difference. And again, maybe if I have time, I will outline that on this show as well. But if I don't, then you can always go back to Friday's episode and listen to the comparisons between Sanders, Trump, and Obama, because they're basically the same people, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. Just varying degrees of exactly what they believe, but they're all on the same basic plot. All right, so on to the things that nobody wants to talk about, because there's this whole thing, you know, that there's this whole Trump is not establishment, and Trump's going to make the country great, and Trump's going to do huge things, and he's going to tear the establishment a new one, and I'm so mad at the establishment that I just want them to burn. Well, here's the thing, and I said this Friday, but I'm going to say it again. I talk about Trump, and I talk about Trump in a negative light. But if truth be told, I'm not angry with Donald Trump, because I can't be angry with Donald Trump. I can't be. But I can be angry with the party, and I can be angry with us, and that includes me. I didn't get engaged soon enough, obviously, or we wouldn't have gotten to this point. I didn't wake up from the fugue of trying to keep up with the Joneses and trying to make sure I had the best house and the best car and the biggest TV. And, oh, look, Bob down the street just bought a BMW, so I guess I need to go see if I can find me one of them Mercedes. I mean, look, I don't understand. I mean, looking back on it now, I don't understand it. Because there were so many much more important things that were going on right under our noses. Nobody was paying attention to them. But it was because we were lulled to sleep by the government. We were told, if you trust me, I will take care of you and you can focus on your daily lives. The problem is, we put our trust in them. They put a knife in our backs. And I am saying that about everybody who's been in power for probably about the last 30 years. Whether you like it or not. The simple fact of the matter is, there have been things moving and shaking behind the scenes that nobody knew were there. We have an entire group of people that are so entrenched in D.C. now that all they want to do is hang on to the power that they've built for themselves, and they will do so by any means necessary. And this election cycle, this was supposed to be our election cycle. I mean, look at everything that has happened, everything that has gone wrong, all of the scandals for this administration, all of the scandals embroiled and wrapped around Hillary Clinton like a burrito. I mean, come on. This was supposed to be our time. Conservatism. You know, we had the Tea Party movement. We had all these people that we finally felt like everybody was waking up. And now all of a sudden everybody's throwing in with Trump, all because he says he's not establishment. But listen to this.
$50 billion that we give Iran plus their, we release their hostages and they give us nothing. This is shameful. Our country should be better than that. We need to be first, and what we need is a great negotiator so that our country is first.
Do you agree with Donald Trump that you need to be a little bit establishment?
He didn't say we need to be a little bit establishment. What he said is you need to put people in a room to get things done. What we need to do is to fix it. People are so
you literally
tired
said,
of the
let's
gridlock.
get to be a little establishment.
If you'd like me to answer the question, I'll be happy to. What he said is you need to put people in the room so that you can get a deal done. Life is about deals. Putting 2 people in a room or 4 people in a room and making sure you can talk through it so that it is best for the country, that's what our country needs. You need a strong leader to get those things done. We need to negotiate better. We need to have better trade deals with our partners. We need to have a better deal when it comes to the economy.
Because he's a strident guy. No, you cannot have that. I told you, he's trying to paint me as part of the establishment. And somebody said, establishment? Well, how come Sarah Palin just backed up establishment? And you know what? There's a point at which let's get to be a little establishment. We got to get things done, folks, okay? Believe me, don't worry. We're going to make such great deals. But at a certain point, you can't be so strident. You can't not get along.
Do you agree with Donald Trump that you need to be a little bit establishment?
He didn't say we need to be a little bit establishment. What he said is you need to put people in a room to get...
Let's get to be a little establishment.
You literally said, let's get to be a little establishment.
If you'd like me to answer the question...
Let's get to be a little establishment.
All right, so in his own words, folks, there he is, telling you that it's time for him to become a little bit establishment. I've warned you for months that if you were buying into this guy's tripe, you were backing the wrong horse. And if you can't wake up after hearing him, in his own words, tell you that 1, he wants socialized medicine, and 2, it's time to move towards the establishment, then we, I shouldn't say you, because we have a bigger problem than I thought. Because I thought those of us on the conservative side of the aisle were finally starting to wake up. We were finally starting to understand that this is going to be one of the last shots that we have to turn this country around. And I'm not saying it's going to be a quick process, and I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but if we continue to back this guy just because it's the only way, but Rick, it's the only way we're going to get the White House. Man, we need the White House. We haven't had an election since Bush 43. We gotta do what we gotta do. Shut up. Sit down and shut up. I've had it with you whiny people. I would say a word that we throw around in one of the groups I'm in a lot, but I'm not sure I would pronounce it right. Screw it, I'm going to try it anyway. You guys that are backing this guy just because you think it's the only way that you can win, instead of fighting an actual fight for a candidate that you know is going to try to uphold the conservative ideals and uphold the Constitution, you are a bunch of pusillanimous crab weasels. Look it up. I'm not telling you what it means. Look it up. You're not going to like the answer when you find it. But I'm telling you, this is where we are. We have to make a decision because at this point, this country does not have much time left. And if we keep throwing in with the wrong crowd, we're going to have even less time left. And this guy just told you and keeps telling you that he's going to basically be an extension of Barack Obama's term. He's already thrown in with big pharma, or not big pharma, but ethanol. And, well, I want to make this huge. It's going to be huge because we need ethanol because it's better for the environment. Bullcrap. Have you actually looked into what it takes to make a gallon of ethanol? Because here's the thing, folks. No matter how much corn you grow and no matter how much of whatever product you grow to make the ethanol, because they don't just do it with corn, there are other farm goods they can use it with as well. But the thing about that is, if you really do the looking and the digging, by the time you do all the man hours and the harvesting and the processing, for every 4 gallons of ethanol that we create in this country, we burn 3 gallons of regular gas. So basically you're telling me that we're going to burn 3 gallons of regular gas for every 4 gallons of ethanol that we create, which is ultimately going to wind up costing everybody more money, because let's not forget the ethanol program is highly subsidized. So what's happening is we have all these farmers that can't make money growing other crops that are throwing in with the ethanol crowd because, hey, if I do this, then the government gives me money. Where's the government going to keep getting all this money from to keep subsidizing these things? Look, I understand that some things that a lot of folks call subsidies really aren't, like the subsidies for the oil industry that nobody really takes into account, that some of that stuff is actually for government programs for like the heating of homes for the poor people in the winter when their bills get paid for them, and etc. So I know there are things built into those things that nobody talks about because it's basically a third rail, because you don't know what's built into them. But that's my point. Before you start railing on some form of that type of payment, what you need to do is actually look into where it's going. Ethanol doesn't have any of those things built into it for the subsidies that it receives. It's basically paying a farmer for growing a particular crop to make sure that they continue to grow that particular crop because the government needs it. Ethanol is the biggest establishment hoax ever created and put up in front of the American people. And if you research it enough, you will see that it is exactly that. It has been for a long time. It really does nothing beneficial for the environment. It raises the cost of food. It doesn't really keep us from burning as much gas because we still have to put the gas in all the equipment that can't even burn ethanol to get the corn harvested and processed in the first place. So it doesn't fix anything. It's the same as every other government program out there. It looks good, it's wrapped in a nice, bright, shiny package, and it makes you feel better because, by God, we're doing something about the environment, and that automatically makes us better than the Chinese. But if we keep dealing with just the feelings of it, then we're going to lose. Because the simple fact of the matter is, if you want to know what's broken with this election cycle, we have both sides leading with the feels. You know, we're the ones that have always told everybody, look, when it comes right down to it, please do not vote using your emotions. Do not vote using your emotions. Do research, draw your own conclusions, and then go out and vote. And then we threw it away. Oh, look, it's Donald Trump. Oh, he's got my vote. It's the hair, man. It's the hair. Gotta love the hair. Speaking of the hair, I'm sorry, but the dude looks like he's got a tribble on his head. I mean, with the kind of money that man makes, you'd figure he could find a way to get normal hair. I mean, you know, my little tinfoil hat theory for the morning is I've always wondered if maybe the hair is actually an alien from another planet and really it's the one in the driver's seat. But then his mouth opens and I realize that he's got to be from Earth because he's not very intelligent. I'm just saying. Okay. So at this point, I think we've actually run a little bit long. I've got to take a break. Nope, we're actually right about at the bottom of the hour. So we'll be right back here in just a couple minutes. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robbins, and we'll be back after we pay some bills.
Red State Talk Radio. Talk radio the way the Founding Fathers would have done it.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
Hey folks, Slickery Trigger here. I'd like to take a minute to tell you about Rebel Road Tactical. As a defensive pistol instructor, I've had the opportunity to observe many different holster designs and configurations. And one thing is clear. Many of my students won't carry a pistol. Or worse, they'll carry one without a holster at all. Holster designers aren't making holsters for normal people. It seems that most holsters are either an expensive piece of gear designed for Rambo or a piece that doesn't fit or function the way real people need it to fit and function. So, like any good Texan, I decided to learn to form kydex and design one myself, one that would fit the needs of average people. The result is the Rebel Road Tactical CRT Modular. The CRT stands for Carry, Range, and Training. Its thin and lightweight curved design minimizes printing and is adjustable to fit just right for superior comfort and function. Check us out after the show at rebelroadconcealed.blogspot.com.
Red State Talk Radio. Conservatism, Red State style.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. A division of RCE is now the Spark Radio Network. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
This is America Off the Rails, and you're listening on Red State Talk Radio. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday morning. Hope you got that coffee nice and warmed up. For those of you on the East Coast, I really hope you've battened down the hatches. Gotta tell you, I used to work in the airline industry. I'm glad I do not. For those of you that listen to the show that are friends of mine that still do, God bless you. You are doing God's work, because I could not do what you do on a daily basis, especially with as temperamental as Mother Nature has been for about the last 5 to 6 years. Now, during the break, sadly, my engineer, which is me, completely let me down. I couldn't find the Sarah Palin clip, so we're going to go ahead and talk about the other topic that I wanted to talk about. And we're going to change gears just a little bit, because here's the other guy that scares me. And if things go the way they're going right now and people don't wake up enough, it's probably going to wind up being a head-to-head battle against the guy that we just took apart and this guy, because I'm really starting to think that I don't know if Hillary Clinton's going to be able to beat all of the crap that she's finding herself in. And I got to tell you, Sanders is enough of an unknown quantity that I would rather be going up against Hillary Clinton, because we're looking at almost a duplication of 2008 at this point. And I just think there are going to be too many people on the conservative side of the aisle who cannot and will not pull the lever for Donald Trump. And this is going to make me sound like a hypocrite, and for that I do apologize, because in 2012, I was the guy going around telling everybody that, look, at this point, Mitt Romney, even if he's not your guy, is going to be better than the guy that they're putting in there if we lose again, because we've already seen what he could do for 4 years. But I can't do it this time, folks. Now you've heard me, and my views have changed on Trump, so I'm going to reserve the right now to possibly change my mind again. Maybe he'll finally realize that he's screwing the pooch. I don't know, but I can't. If he's the nominee, I can't do it. I can't do it. But let me tell you why. Because this isn't some political talking head moment where I just can't do it because he's not conservative enough. I have children with special needs. I have 2 of them, and every time I hear the way he lambasted that reporter that he made fun of that was in the news cycle for like 3 solid weeks, I want to throat punch him. I'm not going to do it, so nobody needs to send any law enforcement to my house. I'm just telling you that's what I want to do. And here's the point. If this man will use the spotlight that he has to lambaste someone just because they disagreed with them and point out the fact that they are different than everybody else, and because of that they should be ridiculed, he doesn't deserve the White House. Because, I'm sorry, in my view, that means no matter, and then again, I do not know Donald Trump. So the only thing that I'm personally angry with him about is that. The rest of it, I blame on the party, because he wouldn't be where he is right now if not for the fact that our party screwed it all up. But the point is, if he can do that, and he can do that in front of millions and millions of people, no matter what the rest of his heart may be like, there is a dark core there somewhere. And that is not the type of person that we need to give basically unfettered, unbridled power. Because let's face it, in between signing statements and executive orders, the president doesn't need Congress anymore. Obama is reveling in the fact that he's been proving time and time again that, well, if Congress won't do it, let me be clear. I have a pen and I have a phone and I'm going to use them. Please do. Please use the phone to call a moving van, and please use your pen to sign your resignation and get the hell out of the people's house. I've had it with all of you. All of you. All right. But before I burn up too much more of the show ranting, let's actually pull up what I wanted to spend the last part of the show talking about, because at this point, we are down to about 24 minutes.
Here's the simple truth, that in America we have millions and millions of working people who are working hard but are not making enough money to put bread on the table or to take care of their kids, and that has got to end.
Today, all over America, you got mom working, you got dad working, occasionally you have the kids working, and we still don't have enough money to pay the bills. Something is fundamentally wrong about that.
All right, so this is about a 3-minute clip. We're going to take it in pieces. So let's focus on the first thing that he talks about there. You know, in this day and age, you got mom working, you got dad working, and some of the kids working, and you still can't afford to pay the bills. Let me tell you where we've lost our way, if you don't mind, please. Yeah, we have mom working, we have dad working, we even have some of the kids working, but let me tell you why we have to do all of that, and let me tell you again why it is that we can't seem to make the ends meet when we have to do that. Because we have people that are trying to live beyond their means. We have mom and dad working fast food and kids working along with them when they get old enough, and everybody's trying to pay for an Escalade because, you know, you got to have the biggest, nicest car on the block. You got to have that 70-inch TV. You got to have $7,000 worth of furniture for a $25,000 house. Because, you know, not to mention the fact that the thing that he doesn't talk about is a lot of the folks that he was just talking about work so hard and don't get anywhere. They're also the ones that are on things like food stamps and government assistance and everything else. So by the time you take their regular paychecks and the help they get from the government, they're living on what would technically be about $70,000 or $80,000 a year to the rest of us. But because they don't have to work for most of it, they spend it on things they really don't need. Look, and I'm not saying you don't need nice things. I'm not. But I'm saying you need to work your way up to being able to get there. The wife and I didn't get where we are now. I mean, I'm 42 years old. There were times that we were getting furniture from thrift stores. I still buy most of my clothes from a thrift store, and I'm not poor. Because I don't want to spend the kind of money that it takes to buy new clothes. Because it's crazy to me to spend that kind of money on something that I'm just going to wear to make sure that nobody wants to puke or throw me in jail. I mean, it really is this simple, folks. You have to come up with priorities. And the reason that moms and dads and kids are working so hard is because kids have to have the latest, greatest electronic devices. They got to have $200 shoes. They got to have the nicest clothes possible because we have become a materialistic society. Bernie Sanders wants to feed off of the fact that we have become a materialistic society. He wants to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, which will collapse small businesses everywhere. I'm not making that up. You can go find the research on your own. You can look at what's happening in places like Seattle that have already done it. You can look at the fact that based on the fact that everybody thinks it's about to happen, large corporations like Walmart are already making cuts to their workforce and their stores to make sure that they have the ability to absorb the higher rates. But let's be completely honest here for just a moment. If this was something that the government honestly wanted fixed, there's a really easy way to do it. It's called throw away the stick and pull out a carrot. You know, we used to have the carrot and the stick approach, where, you know, you try to coax them by giving them a little bit, and then if you need to, the government's over here with a stick saying, you know, you really should do this. We've gotten completely away from the carrot. It's now government mandated that we pay people X amount of dollars. So why not make it easier on the folks that we're trying to government mandate into paying X amount of dollars and say, look, you have 2,000 employees. Most of them are between the ages of 18 and 62 years old. So for everybody who's not currently enrolled in high school, if you pay them X amount of dollars above minimum wage, we will give you X amount of percentage break from your taxes. There are such easy ways to fix these things, folks, but nobody wants to do it. And you know why they don't want to do it? Because if it's fixed, you don't need the government.
The problems we face did not come down from the heavens. They are made by bad human decisions. And good human decisions can change them. It is time that the United States of America join the rest of the industrialized world and guaranteed health care to all people as a right, not a privilege. Given the incredible wealth and income inequality in America today, we need fair elections, which means public funding of elections.
All right, so let's take and dissect those 2 points that he just made. So we need socialized health care, even though folks like, I believe it was Katie Couric, who recently, I say recently, it was a few years back during the Olympics when she injured herself in London, wanted to go through their socialized medical system and was basically waved off by everyone that understood how it worked and said, look, you have money, you need to go to a real doctor. So you tell me, folks, if socialized medicine works so well, why up until recently did any country that had socialized medicine, if they really needed to get things done, they came here? They don't anymore because we've crapped up our medical system. But they used to. We were the place that people that had access to free and reduced health care would come to when things were really, really bad. You know why? Because there's such a long waiting list where they were that if they waited and went through the system properly over there, they were going to die. Do you really expect anything any differently here? Now, we're going through these kind of quick, so let's move on to the next point that he made about public funding of elections. Do you realize what that means? Has anybody, you know, all these people that were cheering when he said that, do you think they've honestly thought about what that means? That means he's going to be giving government control to the election process. I'm telling you right now, in between the fact that this guy is running and Donald Trump is running, our founding fathers are spinning in their graves so quickly that they could probably power a small city. Let's move on.
My Republican friends just decided to put another $38 billion into the military. Maybe we can cut military spending a little bit and put it into education. 100 years ago, women didn't even have the right to vote. Change takes place because people struggle. Within the next month, I will introduce legislation that will make every public college and public university tuition free. I am in this business because I have 4 beautiful kids and I have 7 beautiful grandchildren. And like you, I want to make sure that the world that we leave them is a beautiful world where people can live full and dignified lives. I don't want to see a world where people are struggling and stepping all over each other. And we can do it. We can provide health care to all of our people. We can create decent paying jobs. We can reverse climate change and transform our energy system. We can raise wages. We can make sure that every person in this country gets the education they need and desire. This is not some type of utopian dream. It can happen. It really can. But it will not happen.
All right, I can't do it anymore. Okay, so I'm sorry, Bernie, that is a utopian pipe dream, because the thing that you're not ever taking into account is where are we going to get the money to pay for all of these things? I mean, is that going to be your first act as president? You're going to sign an executive order mandating that the agricultural department plant 100 million money trees? I mean, I'm assuming from the way that you're talking that you know where the mythical money tree are, and you have the ability to plant as many of them as you want. Because this makes no sense. And your tax plan makes absolutely no sense, because you're talking about taking money from people that have earned it, that have worked their tail ends off to get where they are, just to give it to other folks. And what you're going to wind up doing is collapsing the very businesses that you're overtaxing, and then you're going to have even more people that are not able to work. But that's what you want, really. When we start giving government control over from ourselves to an elite group of people, then we lose. This is why there were so many people that fought against Social Security, because it was a building block. This is why there were so many people that fought against the Affordable Care Act, because it is a building block. No, it didn't get us to socialize medicine yet, but look at it as if somebody was building a house. There's not a button that you press and suddenly there's a house where an empty lot once stood. It takes time. It takes structure. The ACA was the framework to get us there. And if you don't believe me, you look at everything that has happened with the insurance companies since the creation of the ACA. This is ultimately designed to get them to the point where they are so overburdened that they collapse. Now, if Bernie Sanders gets elected, we won't have to worry about whether or not they collapse, because he'll just socialize everything. And for all of you that keep telling me, oh, Rick, that can't happen, Congress will never approve it. So Congress just approved the gun reform laws that the president just signed by executive order. Congress just approved his amnesty deal that he signed by executive order. You know, there's a dark money thing that I'll probably be talking about over the next week that he's about to take on by executive order. Are we really this naive that we honestly think that with the way this system is now designed that the president really has no power? Because it's not true. That's what they've been doing for the last 40 years, is finding ways to get more and more power from you and me and make sure that it was centralized in Washington. There was a reason why when these groups were founded, like Congress, like the House of Representatives and the Senate, they were only supposed to be in D.C. for a couple of weeks out of the year. Now, granted, everybody says that was mainly because it used to take them weeks and months to get from where they needed to go to D.C., but I also believe it was mainly because they wanted them to be spending the majority of the time that they were in those offices with their constituency. Now, you tell me that in today's world, with technology the way that it is now, we couldn't decentralize D.C. Because do you know how many, and feel free to look it up in your own area, how many of your congressmen and senators have offices here that are fully staffed with the lights on every day that we pay for in their home states, like where I am in Oklahoma, but they also have fully staffed lights on offices in D.C. where they spend most of their time. So we're wasting money paying for two offices when technically they really only need one at a time. But with today's technology, with the ability to talk to somebody on a camera phone from 5,000 miles away using something like Skype or FaceTime, why do we even need to centralize the government anymore? Why can they not do their jobs from their home state so that they can be there to deal with their constituency when they make bad choices? They don't want to be. Because again, if we legitimately attacked and fixed the problems that government has created, we wouldn't need the government anymore. It has become such a behemoth, such a monster, that it's now creating its own problems just so that it can be the one that eventually says, hey, look, we solved it. When all they really did was shuffle a few papers around, strike out a couple of lines, shuffle some money around, and all of a sudden life's all gravy again. I'm telling you, we're not paying attention to exactly how bad all of this is. And what makes me sad, what makes me to the point where, honestly, I usually do five shows a week on my home network, Usually do another one on Saturday mornings, this one on Sundays, and then I even do one on WNJC, usually on Thursdays. I used to record special episodes for almost everybody except for the ones that were running me 3 and 5 days a week. I would just send them the files that I was already doing. I've barely done a show in 2 weeks because it took me forever to realize that the fight's not over. Because if you spend as much time in the news cycle and combing through articles and doing your own research and talking to people on Twitter and through emails and everything else, you start getting the perception that this fight was over before it began. I don't care. And if and when Donald Trump becomes the nominee, I will have to do some serious soul searching and I will have to decide what it is that I'm going to do. But based on the information that I am finding and all of the bits and pieces that are coming out that his own people want to say are not there and not true, then as far as I'm concerned, not only does he not deserve to be the nominee, he doesn't deserve to get not only my vote, but your vote. But you ultimately have to be the ones to make the decision. I'm not here to change your minds. I'm not here to force you to form opinions. I'm here to ask you to please think and do what we always say that we're going to do on the conservative side of the aisle until we get the chance to actually do it, and then we don't. Which is do your own research, form your own opinions, make sure that you understand who it is that you are voting for. Because I'm telling you right now, I know that Ann Coulter and folks like Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh and, for God's sake, even Mark Levin. And let's not forget Michael Savage. Thanks again for the shout out, Mike. Checks in the mail. Are all giving so much airtime to Trump. All over the radio shows if they have them, TV shows if they have them, and it's all just, well, he said he was pro-abortion once, but he changed his mind. He's changed his mind. He's had to because he's told everybody. No. Just because you say something doesn't mean it's true. You have to also follow what he's doing as much as what it is that he's saying. And that's where we're severely, and I do mean, pardon me, severely dropping the ball. Because everybody is so enamored with what he's saying that they're not paying attention to what he's doing. And the thing about it is, and this is the part that drives me completely insane, they're like, well, he says he's going to make America great again, and he says it's going to be huge, and he says he's going to make deals. Well, he also just said that he's going to socialize health care and climb in bed with the Dems. No, that's not what he meant. Okay, so I'm trying to point out to you that basically he's giving you absolutely no substance as to how he's going to do anything that he says is going to be huge and going to make America great again. But I give you specific segments of when he says these things, and that's not what he meant. When did we become Democrat light? You know, I've been saying it for a while, and and I saw it, I really did, but I never realized how bad it actually was. Politics has become a brand war. It's kind of like the war between Coke and Pepsi. You got one wrapped up in a nice pretty red can, one wrapped up in a nice pretty blue can. But basically, no matter which one you buy, when you pop the top, you're still drinking a soda. So yeah, they look different on the outside, but you pour them into a glass, they basically look the same. There's only slight differences. The colors are about the same. They have carbonation. They have basically almost the same amount of sugars, but slightly different ingredients. So basically what it is no matter which one you pick, you're basically getting the same thing, but only slightly different. That is now our basic election and electoral system. We now have the Democratic Party and the Democratic Light Party. Republicans, we're just like the Democrats with only slightly less BS. That should be our new campaign slogan. Notice I said slightly, because here's the thing, and it's become even more apparent now. I've been telling you since the day that I started the show that we have two sides to the argument. But again, much like the brand war, it's kind of like a quarter. One side you got heads, one side you got tails. You flip it, and you see a certain side of it when it lands. But no matter what, it's still a quarter. Same thing has been going on with our political system. We have a group of folks that want to bring about change to the point where they get to keep themselves ensconced in power, and one side wants to do so by using quick means, like what I equate to moving things along at the speed of a bullet train. And then you have the Republican Party, Democrat Light, who wants to do the same things, but they want to do them using a handcar, so that maybe you don't notice the changes as they come. And again, this has been going on for years. At this point, we're reaching the end of the track. And we haven't been paying enough attention. Now, we are coming to the end of the show. Got about 3 minutes left before I got to get out of here, so I'm going to end the show the way I always do. For those of you listening now on Red State, want to thank you. If you do like the show here, you are welcome to come check us out. We are typically live 5 nights a week on K98 Talk, and also run through the Spark Radio Network, which is the network that I own. And then, of course, you can also check us out on AMFM247.com, LeadingEdgeRadioNetwork.com, High Point Radio out of Montauk, New Jersey, WNJC 1360, SHR Media, and I think that might actually be everybody, but if not, I do apologize if I've forgotten you. Also want to give a quick shout out to our newest sponsor. We are putting together a commercial for them as we speak, taking one of the spots that they've already created and making it fit for radio. That is politicalbrick.org. They are running a special right now, so if you do enjoy the election cycles, much like I do, let's face it, I'm a political junkie and a nerd, otherwise why would I be doing this? You do have the ability to get a heck of a deal over there right now. You can go to politicalbrick.org or also look them up on Twitter. They are offering all 6 of the bricks that they offer for $5, and you can get them shipped right out to you. The thing that I like about them is, in my line of work, I have to listen to both sides of the debates. I typically want to start throwing things at my TV about halfway through each one of them. I can do that now without running the risk of breaking it. So I do highly encourage you to look them up. Mainly, if nothing else, it's a really great thing to have laying around on the coffee table. Might get some folks that are maybe not so interested in politics, at least maybe talking about it. Maybe it can be another way that you find to get involved. Speaking of which, it is now that time, so I'm going to end the show the way I always do. Until I see you again, do everyone, including yourself, a favor. Put down the remote, get off the couch, and find a way to get involved. Even if you disagree with everything that I'm saying, I still want you to get involved, because the only way that we can bring about change is to actually try to make a difference. This is Rick Robinson. You have been listening to America Off the Rails. I'll be back with you next week. Take care, and God bless.
Screw you guys. I'm getting home. Later.
Game over, man. It's game over.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
Red State Talk Radio. Conservatism, Red State style.